Like, I used to hate history as a kid, but
Really?
the more I got into philosophy and theology, I realized, oh, that's where the bread and butter's at.
Mm-hmm.
The ancient Greek
Yeah.
thinkers, that's where that's it. The logos, like
Yeah.
that's where the bread and butter's at. And I think I think sometimes especially now in modern society, we can get to, I'm not saying you and I, but like people can get to the point where like, hey, we're so advanced. We've
Yeah.
those people are outdated. Yeah,
Yeah.
technically outdated,
Yeah.
but I'm pretty sure I could, like, I don't know anybody in my life who could write uh, a Declaration of Independence as beautiful as what was written in it.
Oh man. Yeah, right. Yeah, those guys were geniuses.
Yeah.
And a very simple example was I used to work at it's funny it's funny, you ever look at things in hindsight and you realize that everything you'd ever done actually was leading you to where you are, you know?
Yeah, I get real pissed off when I realize I shouldn't have been upset.
Right. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. No,
Like, why
I
was I
get what you're
so
saying.
mad?
Yeah. Yeah, and it was all working out perfectly.
Right.
And so, one of the big things that played into me being into history was I always was for a kid, but as a from being a kid. But one of the big things that sort of pushed me over the edge and gave me a reverence for life and the past was I started working at a nursing home, and I
Mm,
worked there for about 3 or 4 years at a couple different nursing homes.
yeah.
And man, the stories that these people have, I mean, they're like they're like a time capsule, and they're only here for a limited amount of time, and the experience that they've had and the wisdom that they've got is just it's amazing to pick these people's brains. And I remember having a conversation with a guy named Bill, and he's showing me some of his photos of I was I was 20 at the time, and he was showing me photos of when he was 21 during the Korean War. And it was this photo of him with his arms around his friends, and they're all laughing. And he's telling me about these times. I'm looking at this photo, and I look up at him, and I'm like, "That's the same kid sitting right in front of me. I could just see it." And I realized, and it was in that moment it clicked. There's no difference. The time, there's no difference.
I got goosebumps.
And
Yeah.
and and I would talk to people, young people that I was working with, and I think it's, they would ask me, well, why do you stay 2 hours after your shift is over? And I would go to these people's rooms, and the people that were living there, and I'd just talk to them forever, just, hear their stories. And they would say, so and so doesn't like that you stay here afterwards, that you're making friends with the residents. That's not what you need to be doing. I'm like, I think they're fascinating. And then the people that were my age, they would go, well, I think they're freaking boring, blah blah
Right.
blah. And I'm
Right.
like, man, you're so dead on the inside. You're
Really? I
so
mean,
dead.
yeah.
You don't even understand and it's the same people that say stuff like that they're not happy with their life. They have no appreciation for the things that are around them. They're just a consumer by heart. You know what I mean? They consume, 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 take, 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 and there's no giving. You know what I mean? And they don't realize that the giving and lending of your time to people and learning from people, that's what fulfills you and makes you happy. You
Yeah.
know? And
Yeah,
yeah, so
the ego is strong with this one. What is it that
yeah, man,
Palpatine says?
yeah, yeah, and,
But
and oh, it's so true, man. I mean, the ego that we have today. I talk to people, or I see comments on my TikTok, or people that are like, to claim that the ancients were more advanced than us. I mean, are you insane? I don't see cell phones sitting around anywhere. I don't see satellites still orbiting, or whatever. And I'm like, man, you're so wrapped up in modernity,
yeah.
um, that you can't think for yourself. You don't have any sort of imagination. It's just so limited in the ignorance to think that we are the precipice of all of existence.
Yeah. Go back and
Um,
read Homer's Odyssey and
yeah, I
tell me.
haven't read it, but
No, I'm not saying you, but I'm saying this person. Go back and read
oh
that and tell
yeah,
me that they're not advanced.
oh man, these people, they were brilliant. I mean, they had IQs that not all of them, but there were definitely people then who had IQs that far exceeded people who are alive today. They were just as wise.